The Labour leader Ivana Bacik has said it's crucial local representatives are given clear notification of plans to provide emergency accommodation in any area. It comes as a pub earmarked for homeless people was burnt down in Ringsend, Dublin, which of course is in Ivana Bacik's constituency. Aodhán Ó Ríordáin, Labour's justice spokesperson, joins us now. Aodhán, is there a danger here that politicians risk um, uh, that we're barking up the wrong tree here? That the issue is that this place was burned down, and we should be pointing the finger at them, not at the Dublin Region Homeless Executive.
In fairness, I think in the Labour Party we absolutely are. And there's a wider conversation about knowledge, about information, about the information war that public representatives are involved in. But fundamentally, this was, in my mind, an act of terrorism. And after what's happened in Galway, and now this has happened in Ringsend, this is absolutely appalling stuff. And we really are at a crossroads. So while, yes, I think what we're saying in the Labour Party is that we need to be armed with information so that we can deal with concerns that constituents may have, or misinformation. It is difficult for those in authority because often misinformation goes around. It happens in my own constituency. People decide on Facebook that a certain site is going to be housing whatever number of asylum seekers. Is completely untrue, and the departments are not going to be in a position to dispel, rumours because people have just decided that something is happening. I appreciate that there are processes in place that heretofore local representatives haven't been informed, and also not every local representative is going to be a good actor in this space. Let's be frank about it. But I think it would be of benefit if you are trying to diffuse the situation or to give local residents absolute information. It's not a veto, it's not consultation, it's information. But fundamentally, we do have now a set of people in our country who feel it is legitimate political action to set places on fire, and they're going to kill somebody.
Yeah,
and at some
no
point,
doubt.
I know, but I just want to really emphasize the seriousness of this. There will be a point, if this continues in the future, of people like me having interviews with people like you after somebody's been killed, and we'll all be then wise after the event. The guards now have to, in my mind, change their tack, because if it is now perceived that a quasi-appropriate approach to the housing of asylum seekers is to burn the place down, well, then we really have reached a very, very sorry place in our political discourse.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to or reading the comments of Mary Hayes, the director of the Dublin Region Homeless Executive, she makes the point that they don't normally formally issue notice to councils about the use of billing for homeless accommodation, as she fears it would stigmatise people. I suppose, coming back to my, maybe it's a repeat of the first question I asked you, is there a danger that if politicians, however well-meaning they are, start saying, well, we need to be informed about this, that it's for homeless people, is that almost indirectly and even by accident, inadvertently perhaps, saying, well, if we'd known, if people had known this was for homeless rather than asylum seekers, it wouldn't have been burnt out? Does that in some way potentially inadvertently exonerate, as you say, this act of terrorism?
Well, it can't, and people have to be very careful with their language. I mean, nothing can exonerate, nothing can give context to somebody or a group of people deciding to burn something out. But what happens is that there can be a build-up of tension over a period of time because of misinformation, and local representatives don't have the knowledge or the information to hand to say, these are the facts of the matter. And I've been in that situation myself. What happens and has improved over the last number of months is that you are given notification of a certain site being used for asylum seekers. It comes maybe a day beforehand. So if there are questions from residents, you can say, well, this is the communication I have received, and it's not happening after the fact. But I think when there's a question mark over a particular site, it is probably now in this current context, a better way of doing things so that local representatives can dispel or to confirm whatever rumours are out there, and then they can deal with that. What happened here was that there was misinformation, but nothing. I mean, nothing can excuse.
No, I accept that. I accept you're making that point. Listen, just before you go, something else your party leader said, talking about the far right in relation to this. But I mean, I have to point out one of your own local election candidates, Carol Reynolds, has said there's too many immigrants in this country. Is there an argument that says however much you and I might dislike it, this isn't an issue at the far right anymore? This has unfortunately become a much more widespread issue across the political divide.
Well, now what happened with Cara was, what was really unfortunate. She was, if you like, surrounded at the site for about 15 minutes. About 2 minutes of the clip was taken out, and she has apologised profusely for what was said. But I absolutely do feel it's gone mainstream. People are asking questions at doors, and a lot of these questions, I believe, are reasonable. Whenever we won whatever social movement in the past, from referendums to whatever, it was always being in the position to dispel myths, and to answer questions. But what I won't accept is this connection between immigration and criminality, and that is something that's been pushed inside the Oireachtas. And that is something that has to be absolutely
Okay.
challenged. It is reasonable for people to ask questions about services, etc., but it's not
Okay.
reasonable for people to ask
Very finally,
questions in terms of criminality.
very finally, Aodhán, what did you make of Sinn Féin's leaders, Mary Louise McDonald's comment in an interview before Christmas, where she I spoke about Ukrainian, there would have to be changes in relation to Ukrainian refugees coming here, in relation to them seeking work and so on. Your take on that?
Well, look, I think people are finally realising that Sinn Féin are not a party of the left, that you can't trust them on basic left-wing principles. I've watched them in terms of drug policy, I've watched them in terms of climate change, and now it's quite obvious in terms of immigration. When you are a party that has one thing on your agenda, which is the border and the north, everything else is up for grabs. And I'm not surprised, and I hope other people are going to wake up to what they really
They would say,
are.
I think they would say their arguments are just reflective of what people are saying in the wider community.
Well, that's fine, but if you're a party of the left, you have certain principles, and we saw that during the Dublin riots. Their instinct was to wave around photographs of vulnerable people, and now when it comes to a question about immigration, they're not holding fast to what a left-wing party should do. They're shifting. It's unfortunate, but that's Sinn Féin for you.
Okay, we will leave it there. Aodhán Ó Ríordáin of the Labour Party, thank you indeed for talking to Newstalk Breakfast this morning.